From the under lock and key release that is Dokken with Unchain the Night. And apparently, Chris, as you're well aware, my review of the Dokken weekend that I attended last week got some comments, both positive and negative.
Very mixed bag, huh?
It was a mixed bag for sure.
Yeah, no shit.
So I thought I'd go over some of this and address some of this.
Okay.
This segment that we did last week when I returned from my trip to South Dakota got quite a bit of traction over there. It's got couple thousand downloads over there at the Spreaker anyway.
Guess people wanted to know the Neeley opinion.
They wanted to know what I thought. And obviously we did a segment last week where I talked about it.
Sure.
And both on YouTube and on the CMS Facebook page, it got reaction.
Yeah, people wanted to voice their own comments. I don't know if they just wanted to yell at you or what, but I was like, okay, here you go.
Yep.
Go.
So anyway, I noticed that since Dokken has been playing, I think they're into their third show in Japan.
Yeah.
Now they're doing 6 shows over there. I think they've done 3 already. I've saw some of the footage.
Yeah.
Not so good.
Yeah.
Not so good. It's just I can tell Don is really struggling. He's definitely got the raspiness going on. And as I stated last week, just not enough prep time as far as I'm concerned. It just wasn't enough time to get all the press in, get all the all the media that they had to do, get the rehearsals done, get the traveling done, all this other stuff. They compacted this in a matter of days,
right?
And it just wasn't enough time to do it properly.
I've been watching it, and I can't wait to hear what's going on in Japan, because correct me if you've watched. I'm sure you've watched a whole lot more than I have. I watched just a minute here and a minute there of different songs, and it just doesn't look like Don is into it at all.
Well, I'm sure that they're just tired.
You think that's what it is?
I think it's just being tired. I just don't think they've been able to get any rest, because basically they played in Akron, or near you, on Saturday.
Right.
Then Don flew on Sunday, and then they started rehearsals on Monday.
Right.
And they did rehearsals and meet and greets, radio, TV, all that shit all week long. I was there Wednesday through Saturday.
Right.
And I was tired. I fell asleep on the show last week.
Right.
So I got wrung out in just 3 days.
Right.
Then as soon as they were done, they flew home, which, Don lives in LA.
Right.
And Mick lives in Phoenix, and I think Jeff and George both live in California too now. They both lived I know they lived in Arizona at one time, but I think they both live in California again.
Okay.
Then they flew home for a day, packed their shit, got on a plane, flew to Japan.
Right.
Then they had their first show within 48 hours.
Yeah, so no time to even get out of the jet lag.
Yeah, and then I'm sure that while they were over there, they had to rehearse and do sound checks and all that other stuff, and do meet and greets and press and all that. So I'm sure that they're just dragging ass.
Yeah, I do see a lot of video of them, meeting people on the street and stuff.
Yeah, of course. So I just think they're dragged out, tired.
Yeah, could be. But yeah, you're right. The shows do not look like they've been. Oof.
Not a lot of energy there.
Look a little rugged.
Yeah, they're tired.
Yep.
I mean, again, I can only speak from experience, but I fell asleep on the last hour of the show last week.
Right.
I mean, the switch just flipped off.
Yeah.
I can't imagine making transatlantic flights.
Right.
And then trying to do meet and greets and press and rehearsals and then do a show and then go to the next city. And it's just too much and too short of a time.
It's like we said last week. They should have hired a tour manager and a stage manager to take some of that off of them.
I agree.
But hey,
just
next reunion,
just too rushed.
Maybe for the next one.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. But anyway,
said they're coming back and going around the States.
Yes, I'll see Don. I think on the 28th of this month.
All right.
He'll be here in Chicago on the 28th.
Yeah, he'll be sleeping.
Yeah. So anyway, just to address some of the commentary here, which I found amusing, some of it amusing, and some of it was like, okay, you're entitled to your opinion.
Yeah.
A guy by the by the name of John Victorino posted on the YouTube page.
Yes.
This is what makes when I read stuff like this is what makes me laugh.
Okay.
So Don Dokken. Who cares?
Yeah.
Dokken, like your show, but Dokken shit is old. We all know Don. I like how people, and this is something you and I talked about, about the fact that we have some of my closer friends who refer to me by my first name, Wendell. Mm-hmm. Of course, I go by my last name on the show, which I've always done from day one.
Right, sure.
So a lot of people know me as Neeley, and that's my name. That is my name.
Yeah.
And I do have a first name. It's Wendell.
Yeah.
But I like people who don't even know me who call me Wendell.
Right.
For some reason, it makes them feel like they're an insider or something, or, like they're more familiar or something.
Right.
I think it's just funny.
Yes.
I mean, you don't even call me Wendell.
I never do. I maybe 2 times ever. And that was probably if I was introducing you.
Sure.
To somebody.
But some of my really closer friends, you included, Don calls me Wendell, and all the guys in the band call me Wendell, and Tommy Paris calls me Wendell, and so does like Chips Enough and people like that. But I've known them for almost 20 years.
I probably would if we weren't doing the show.
Sure.
But I don't want to get into a whole, I know me, and I don't pay attention to what I say, so I would get into a whole Wendell thing.
Right. Well, see, that's my name, okay, and I get it. But, for the show persona, that I use my last name.
Yeah, which is why I just go with that.
Right, I get it. So anyway, he says, we know Don Wendell. Talk new subjects. No more Don. Chris, talk to him.
Neeley, or Wendell, I just need to tell you something.
Yes?
You need to stop talking about Dokken.
Right.
Delete that bumper immediately.
Exactly.
You're no longer allowed to talk about Dokken.
Okay.
When they get back from the Japan tour, he is not allowed on the show.
All right. You mean this bumper here?
Hey, it's been 5 minutes, and it's time now for Neeley to talk Dokken on the Classic Metal Show.
That bumper there?
Let me just explain, since you played the bumper, let me explain something here. To John, what's his name, John? John Victorino?
Yeah, John Victorino.
The bumper you just heard, John, was a goof on how much we talk about Dokken. That's why I wrote it and Red recorded it as a goof about that we talk too much about Dokken.
Right.
We know it. But it's I'm sure you're going to read my response.
Yeah, I'm going to read your response.
It's core to whether you like Dokken or you don't like Dokken. And I'm less, you're friends. You are really good friends with the guys. I'm certainly friendly with the guys. But I'm more of a, hey, how you guys been type, And I talk to John Levin every once in a while. But, you're a true friend of the band.
Sure.
That said, it's not my place to tell you what to say. It's not my place to tell you what to bring to the show. Just like, and I'm going to go the other way with it. When I say I want to do something on the show, whatever it is, you never say no.
No, of course not.
Never. And there's definitely times that I bring shit to the show that you don't want to do. Fair?
Yeah, but we do it because you're 50%.
Yeah, and that's how it works, is, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. For every John Victorino that hates it, the biggest numbers that we did last week were the Dokken recap.
That's true. Each one did almost 3,000 apiece.
Yeah. And we usually do, what, 700-800 or something like that?
Somewhere about 800 per episode.
Yeah. So, we did 4 times our numbers talking about Dokken. So just because you're not into it doesn't mean everybody's not.
But the thing is you don't have to listen.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like this. Read my response because I don't want to just.
Yeah. Well, I think you put it very succinct and very direct and to the point.
Right.
As I say all the time on the show, this is your response. We're going to talk about whatever we talk about. You guys are listening to our conversations, much like listening to our phone calls, really. This said, Neeley is obviously a huge Dokken fan. While the show is definitely both of ours, in the end, it's Neeley's creation originally. Yes, I started this 20 years ago. And it was created in large part due to some of the interactions and friendships he and Don fostered over 20 years ago, which is true. I told Don in May of 95.
Mm-hmm.
May of 95, mm-hmm. that I was gonna start a show that would feature a band like Dokken.
Right.
I met him on the reunion tour, the Dysfunctional tour, in May of 95. I was going to go to broadcasting school. I started broadcasting school in July of 95. And Don took such interest in me at that point, he gave me his phone number, and he says, let me know how that goes. I want to know how that goes for you. This guy didn't know me from shit.
Yeah.
I was just some fan, walked up after a show in Toledo, and I told him what my plans were, and he says, let me know how that goes. And that's how our friendship started.
Right.
That long ago. That's exactly how it happened.
Right.
And for whatever reason, Don has always been a good friend of mine. He's been on the show many times.
Sure.
He's said things on the show that you never hear anywhere else. And obviously, he invites me out to do, I've traveled with them.
Mm-hmm.
They've taken care of me in a lot of ways. And that's just, the show was basically inspired mm-hmm. by my fandom of the band.
Right.
Period.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it goes.
Yeah.
Do I think we talk too much about Dokken? Sometimes. But you know what? Sometimes we talk too much about my books or my pinball palace or my dating failures or politics or whatever. We are a wide open show, and we talk about whatever is in our mind and happening in our world at that moment. Neeley was at the Dokken reunion in South Dakota, so of course we're going to talk about it. The same as I was out at the Babies the same night, and we talked about that as well. This segment is clearly, I like how you put that in all caps, marked as a segment about Dokken. So if it's old and tired, don't listen to it. Trust me. I know that our every word isn't compelling, that it can't be missed. It's okay to skip parts.
Yeah.
No anger on this end, but the show is what it is. It's not going to be changing anytime soon.
Yeah.
I think that was very well put. I mean, direct and to the point.
Yeah. I'm getting shit for why did I answer this cockweasel?
That cockweasel. That's so funny.
I got sucked in. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, but the thing is that the segment was called Dokken Reunion Show Recap.
Yeah.
And this guy listened to it and goes, "Stop with the Dokken."
It's not like the segment was called "Why Volbeat is Better Than 3 Days Grace."
Right.
And then it was all about Dokken.
Right.
It was appropriately labeled The guy thinks Dokken is tired, but he still read about it, or at least listened to it.
He must have listened to it.
Yeah, or at least wrote a comment about why it sucks.
Right.
It's like, dude, fuck you.
So John, Chris talked to me about it. He took me aside. He set me on his knee. He said, listen, little man, John is tired of hearing about Dokken.
Yeah.
You need to retire that subject.
Yeah. And you said?
Fuck you, pal.
But, I mean, that is the truth, is, we talk about shit on all levels. Sometimes it's... I know that there are times that I go way over the edge with some of my shit. And I know, I know that who I am as a person is very different than who you are as a person. So when I start running tangents, you don't always relate to it. But you still try to, dissect it or whatever to make it a topic.
Right.
And it's the same thing. I don't necessarily, and I'll say it straight out the way it is. I can't figure out why you want to go run around after Dokken all for every show, other than friendship. Because for me personally, in my world, I've seen the band a dozen times. I'm good if I never see them again. Not because I don't like them, but just because I've done it. Mm-hmm. And that's how I am as a person. I don't get into like nostalgia as much. That's why I didn't go to South Dakota. It's one of them. I just didn't, for me, there was no buzz to it. For you, there was tremendous buzz to it because it's your favorite band and you're getting back together and you had backstage access to see it all come together.
Right.
For you, that's a cool thing.
Sure.
For me, that would have been like, oh my God, I'd have been in my hotel room working. Because I would be like, oh, I can go out and sit here and watch these guys be interviewed, or I can do a little work.
Right.
And that's just the difference. It's two different people. We do different topics. For God's sakes, show me another show that has such as wide a range of topics as we do, and then I'll agree with you that we're boring.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. How many? We talk about everything from politics to music to pussy to. Well, that's about it,
Hail and kill caller, you're on the air.
Hey, how's it going tonight? Hail and kill.
Why are you going to the phones?
Is this going to be a bit, or do you got something to say?
Don't go to the phones.
No. I've been listening to you guys for the past 20 years, and Dokken's been on my category list for the past 7 years. I thought it was a good time to call and talk about that subject.
All right, make a point, make it quick.
Hey, man, there's no point in getting too vicious here, man. Look, about 3 years ago, I had an experience with one of the guys in the band. My cousin Jimmy, he was a really good friend with the sister of one of them, and I had the chance to, go to a lot of the concerts and stuff, and get to really meet the guys on a personal level. I know all their dark little secrets and stuff,
I bet you do. Like what?
Well, look, I'm here with Jimmy, actually, and he'll tell you some more. So he's a husband on my sister. But yeah, he's the one that had the crazy cases, man. And so, I've been trying to tell him to listen to your show. So, well, here he is.
All right, let's hear it from him. Hey.
Hey, what's up, man?
What up, man?
Hey, what's up? Hey, so you wanted me to tell you a stupid little story that we had.
Yes.
So me and the lead singer, we were chilling backstage.
Yeah.
And
Gary Sharon?
No.
No?
Tom Dokken.
Jeff Pilson.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jeff. The singer. Got it?
Yeah. And, we were chilling and we were talking. It was because I was a promoter back then. And we were just talking and he told me he never tried weed before. I was like, bro, I'll hook you up.
Man.
So, I hooked him up, And he took, 2 hits and he passed out. It was funny as hell.
Man, oh man, I'm laughing my ass off here, dude. That is funny.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, you have to see him, you know. And you okay, man?
Yeah. Holy smokes.
See, I promised the fans I wouldn't fall asleep tonight, but that guy put me to sleep.
Come on, he had a good story about that singer of Dokken, Jeff Pilson.
Yeah, whatever. So anyway, let's get back to the comments. Anyway,
if the phone rings, go ahead and answer it.
Yeah, I'm not going to do that.
It'll be John.
Sure.
He's texting me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, saying he wants to call it.
All right.
All right, whatever.
Somebody by the name of Metal Rules says, Japanese is totally about to get ripped off big time.
Yep.
The poor bastards.
Yep.
Don has never sung right since 2000. Laugh out loud.
Why is that funny?
I don't know. Hail and Kill Caller, you're on the air.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's John. How's it going?
Hey, John, how's that piece of ass wife of yours? You getting any of that?
She's dead asleep in the passenger. Yeah, she's dead asleep in the passenger seat as we speak. We're on the way home from Lima. Just played a gig tonight.
Yeah, Lima is a dump, but we all know that. Why do you gig in Lima, John? Let me ask you, why do you drive 3.5 hours to Lima? What's over there that's so lucrative for you to go to Lima?
Well, for me, from where we live in Hinckley, it's only about a 2-hour drive, so it's not too bad. It's about the same distance as Columbus. But the band makes a ton more money than I would be making in Cleveland, and it's actually worthwhile because... Well,
John, not trying to get into your personal business here, but what is a ton of money? What is that?
$75.
What does that represent? What is a ton of money? Give me a real figure here, and don't lie.
No, I won't lie. I mean, like tonight we played 90. We played 90 minutes. We only did about 21 songs, and we got paid $1,800.
Really?
So,
who's paying that kind of money in Lima?
The Cub Scouts.
You know what's hilarious? Tonight it was the Boy Scouts of America.
Really?
The Boy Scouts apparently have a ton of money because they rented out the Allen County Fairgrounds.
Yeah, see, I used to live over there, so yeah, I know.
Yeah. Well, they hired a staging company. They hired a staging company for like $2,800, a sound guy for about $600, and then us for $18.
Really?
To put on this show. Yeah, and they had a professional fireworks show after we played. So I mean, they're putting out some coin.
How many people were there?
Honestly, they had the whole grandstand filled with kids and their parents, because I guess what they did is it was some regional Boy Scout thing, and the kids all camped out last night and tonight, and they had all these different activities and stuff, and the main attraction was our concert and the fireworks show tonight.
Wow. What kind of songs do you perform for Boy Scouts?
Josie's on a vacation far away.
Yep, that was in there.
Of course it was.
No, we tried to, like stuff like tonight, like we tried to mix it up for the kids and the parents. So like we did a bunch of like modern crap, like Bruno Mars and The Weeknd.
So do you have a full horn section and everything?
Our drummer has tracks for some of it. So we'll do like all the instrumentation live. He'll run a track for, like,
poser man, backing tracks.
Why are you talking about the band wives like that, Neeley? Oh, horns!
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. Well, John, what's on your mind tonight?
Well, I just had a comment about your Dokken thing, and then actually a question for you.
Okay,
go
ahead.
You guys know I'm a fan of the show, but it's kind of shocking to me that anybody would complain about the segment, because, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you might be the only person, journalist of any kind, that would actually have insight and be able to provide something from actual backstage and hanging with the band. Like, everybody else will just be, reviewing the show itself. But I mean, you're talking about stuff that was happening behind the scenes in the hotel, and the sound screwing up with that 23-year-old moron they hired. I mean, that's really inside stuff. I mean, that's a really cool perspective to get on something like that.
Which is why I brought it to the show, because I was trying to bring the experience of what goes on to make a show happen. I mean, you know, even if it's a local show like what you did, you know that there are problems that crop up that you have to handle before you hit the stage. And it's just like, holy shit, I don't even know if this show is going to happen because of sound problems or mic problems or monitor problems or mixing problems or whatever. But you do it and you overcome it and then you put on a show. And sometimes it's fantastic and other times it's like, oh, fucking total disaster.
Right. Well, it's like, you know, people would see the videos and probably think, okay, well, Don sounds like shit or something, but it's a whole different thing given your story about the limiter being on and him just pushing it way too hard because he couldn't hear himself properly because of that piece of equipment. I mean, that kind of changes your perspective on that. It's not just, okay, well, he sucks. It's, well, he actually suffered damage from something that was screwed up in the sound. So, you know, I mean, that kind of stuff is cool to listen to.
Sure. Well, for somebody who understands that stuff and has a grasp of that, you know, that it makes sense. For the average fan, they're just, I have no fucking idea what a limiter is. I don't know what a compressor is. I don't know what that is. I just want a good show. I paid $50. I want a good show.
Yeah. Well, I mean, from the crowd, I'm sure it's like that. But for anybody listening, you know, it's just cool to know, okay, well, he doesn't actually sound like shit because he's just, you know, crap. I mean, there's actually a reason that it was beyond his control. So, you know. But, no, and I want to do a quick question because I know you want to get back on topic, but you mentioned that you first met Don in 95, and I don't know if you've talked about this part on the show, but the guy gives you his number. How did you get around to calling him the first time? Because it had to be kind of weird to be like, oh, they got Don's number. How do you just call Don Dokken and be like, what's up, bro?
Well, I didn't call him. I didn't call him at first. I saw him again later at a show, and it was just like, hey, how's it going? You know, and that was during that horrible Shadow Life tour.
Okay.
And then they came back like about a year and a half later with the Erase the Slate. And they were on CMC. They called it Cheese Metal Cemetery, CMC. And they were trying to do a whole grassroots promotional thing because CMC didn't have any money, as most record labels don't. And they needed the fans to go out and promote the new record. And basically what CMC did was they started the whole street team concept. And I was in on the street team, and I had gotten involved with the classic metal show. And so I had access to a lot of shows because of, you know, being involved with the radio show. And I was going to shows at Blossom and Nautica. And they had these little handbills, little handouts to promote the new Erase the Slate record. And I went to many shows that summer, and I was handing out a shitload of these things. And then I would, you know, get a hold of the street team leader at the time, and I'd say, hey, I need some more of those handbill things. Well, this guy calls me and says, hey, you seem to have a real grasp on this. Do you want to be the street team leader? And I'm just like, sure, I'll do that. So I got involved. I became the street team leader. Then Don started calling me directly. He goes, I understand you're the street team leader now. We're strategizing. We're trying to get more promotion, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, long story short, the more I got involved with the band and promoting, the more I got in contact, and Don would call me and I would call him and we would discuss promotion and blah, blah, blah. So long story short, after all of that, that's when we became more connected. And it's just like, this guy has my best interest in mind. And, you know, he wants to see us succeed and do well. And that's basically where our relationship had started about right around 98, 99. Even though I met him in 94, it took about 5 years to foster that relationship to the point to where it's, hey, this is my bud.
Okay.
So that's how
I wasn't
that's
sure
how
if
it
you
happened.
discussed that, but all right, very cool. All right, well, I'll let you guys get back on topic. Hail and kill. Fuck you, pal. Hand job.
There goes John.
There goes John.
So that's how it happened. I just got involved with their street team and became the street team leader and all that stuff, and then from there on, it's all history.
Yep.
All right. So anyway, getting back to these comments. Somebody by the name of Liza Morris, Liza. She says, metal rules Japan. Fans are not rude and mean like fans here. They could care less like me. They just want to see the original band together. Okay, fair enough.
Okay.
Aaron 80s Rocker. I think that's what he said. 80s Rocked.
Okay.
Warm up his voice by what? Gargling sand? His voice is shot. Japan is going to be disappointed.
Uh-oh.
Only way it works is if Jeff sings along with Don every lyric, every song. Okay, well, and I said that Jeff added a dimension to Dokken that is, sorely needed.
Disappointed! Yeah, easy.
So, yes, Jeff played a big part and does play a big part.
Right.
Another, our good friend George Mahalovic from Aftershock.
Yep.
He jumps in with amusing, informative, and metal.
Wow, metal.
Thanks, Wendell and Chris. See, there's another one who calls me Wendell.
There's a Wendell guy.
Hail and kill. Corey Primrose says, about 15 minutes in, and I'm wondering if you guys are sponsored by Don Dokken.
Yeah. For a segment called, what's it called again?
It's called the Dokken Reunion Show Recap. Are you sponsored by Don Dokken?
And that's interesting to me because I would say half of the content wasn't exactly glowing.
No, it wasn't glowing. George doesn't remember how to play the songs the original way and has been playing songs on the Re-Evolution way in the Lynch Mob, tuned down 2 steps. You must be confusing things. I guess I was sitting there side stage during rehearsals and didn't hear that.
Yeah.
Didn't hear that conversation going on. Apparently I wasn't there.
Nope.
George plays the songs normally with Lynch Mob a half a step down or so, and has since Lynch Mob reunited with Oni Logan.
Yeah.
Well, this isn't
Lynch
Mob.
Wrong.
This isn't Lynch Mob. This is Dokken.
Yeah. Which would be not how the songs are supposed to be performed.
Right. And while he may improvise on the solo, he's done that since the mid to late 80s. Dokken, on the other hand, tunes down some songs like In My Dreams to the point where they sound completely different. Well, see, the thing is that this is the original Dokken, and they tried, and I'm using the term tried, to play the songs truer to form.
Right.
Not the way that George plays them in Lynch Mob, and not the way that Don plays them in the current lineup of Dokken.
Right.
That's all.
They tried to do the 88 version.
Basically, that's it.
Didn't work. Or it's not working, or whatever.
John Victorino chimed back in.
All right.
I hear you. Thanks for the comment. You guys got a good show. Well, thanks, John.
Thank you, sir.
And nothing against Dokken. They're a good band, and I didn't know Neeley started the classic metal. Hail and kill.
Well, you started the classic metal.
I did. That's what he says. I didn't know Neeley started classic metal.
Yeah. Well, I thought it was Eddie Trunk, but really, it was you.
Then Steve Rock's comments. Great segment.
Thanks.
Aaron, the 80s rocked guy, is back again. Rock star image. Don had a tight shirt on showing his belly.
Oh.
And a trench coat, and he looked like Sam Kinison without the great voice Sam had.
Okay.
So there's somebody obviously nothing but negative.
Yeah.
Great show recap. Thanks, guys. That's from Herman Acuna. Then Scotty Russell Music says, blame the compression and the limiting. Okay.
All right.
And then Jim Jam, South Carolina, I'm assuming, SC.
Yeah.
Even in the 80s, at their peak, Don breathed the words and did not sing. Exciting as a glacier. Now he's even more dull and uninteresting as Lynch. Lynch as well. Lynch.
Is that good or bad?
I don't know.
I read that part. I was like, well, is that a good thing or bad? I'm going to take that as good.
Yeah.
Because Lynch is Lynch, but
Lynch is Lynch.
I'll take that as a good thing.
I think a lot of that was just like, I'll take it or leave it.
Right.
And then the last one here, this one came through the Facebook. I made the assumption that Dan Pate was a Lynch guy.
Okay.
Apparently, I was incorrect, so I will apologize. Apology.
Don't apologize.
For making that assumption.
Yeah.
So Dan Pate wrote in.
Okay.
He said, I had to laugh when I finally got a chance to listen to the segment where my Facebook post was read. Neeley stepped up and told things as he saw it, and was interesting to hear about all the issues Don had to deal with. Incompetent sound guys, band members who can't dress themselves appropriately for these shows, having to sign 200 posters, lack of rehearsal time. It's a wonder the show even happened. Well, I agree with you, Dan. That's how I was thinking, too. Neeley, however, incorrectly jumped to the conclusion that because I was voicing my opinion on Don, it automatically made me a loyal to Lynch. Well, we've seen enough of that over the years to where Don sucks, Lynch is God.
Right.
Lynch can do no wrong. Don is an asshole. He sucks. We've heard that a lot.
Yes, we have.
Happen to agree that Levin out-Lynches Lynch these days. I know you guys have voiced that opinion in the past, and it's spot on. It's pretty sad to hear that George won't or can't play the songs like they were intended to be played. That's another reason I really liked watching Levin. He plays the songs like they were written, and I will agree with that.
Right.
And nails each solo note for note. Not to mention his speed and dexterity. That's because he's lean and mean and skinny.
And tiny.
He's a tiny little guy.
Yep.
Also agree that Pilsen is a major factor in the total sound of the classic Dokken experience. I'll agree with that. I think it would be cool to see Dokken, Brown, Pilsen, and Levin live someday. And that is an interesting thought.
Dokken, Brown, Pilsen, and Levin?
Yes.
I wouldn't hate it, but I can't imagine that really being something that's full-time.
No, I couldn't imagine that being a full-time thing, but, you know, with Levin playing the guitar parts in 80s fashion.
Yeah.
And then with Pilsen adding his backup vocals and his, his portion to the show, I would imagine it would be it could be a very energetic show.
No Lynch, no Dokken.
I agree. That's why they got paid a shitload of money to do this thing.
Yeah.
Because it's got to be Lynch at Pilsen.
Yeah. They may hate each other, but the money's good.
Sure. As far as who I am, just a fan that's been supporting your show for the last 3 years or so. Got a great deal on a box of CDs from Chris a while back. Are you selling CDs, Chris?
I did at one point. I used to just throw the shit in a box and sell it for like $25, and I'd put like 20 things in or something.
Nice.
I hardly get any anymore, though.
Sure.
No, everything's a download link now.
Yeah, that's true. I also bought both of his books, so he's a Chrisophile.
As they should be. I mean, that's really nice of him.
Even wrote a review on Amazon for one of them.
Wow, thank you.
He bought a shirt from Neeley not long ago, too.
Wow.
Other than that, I'm just a metalhead that is appreciative of the show. Thanks for making my work week go by with some quality entertainment.
Yeah.
Wonder if you guys will read this, man. Hail and kill.
Well, fuck you, Dan. We already got your money.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're done with you.
Yeah, but
asshole.
I read your post on the Facebook.
Yeah, you suck now, Dan.
Yeah, man.
We took your money. Now fuck off.
I do enjoy that because I see that a lot of the time from the comments that we do get.
Yeah.
You make my work week go by.
Well, that's nice.
Everybody's miserable. Everybody needs a little bit of some kind of comic relief or something.
Everybody hates their job.
They do.
I know I do.
And they look to us to like give them some relief.
Well, the hell you do. I mean, you don't hate your job. I think you sort of like your job.
Yeah, I like my job. I do that pretty well.
I hate my job, but I do it. And I do it with podcasts in my ears all day long.
Sure.
So that I can forget that I'm fucking writing shit tons of code. I like the podcast. I hate the job, but then I look up and it's like 5 or 6 o'clock. It's like, okay, cool.
Sure.
This day's done.
Right.
What's wrong with that?
I like my job. I wish I could listen to podcasts, but I can't do it because I'm on the phone half the day and, it's too much of a distraction for me.
Well, once you take over that company, a couple more weeks.
Sure.
Then you'll just be sitting there going, dude, did you hear what Rogan said this week?
Right.
Because you'll do nothing but listen to podcasts.
Yeah. I would do that. I would get distracted too easy.
Yeah, I know, because you're like a focus guy. This is where another way, people always talk about me versus you. This is another way you and I are completely different. I'll do 15 things at once. You are a very focused, this is what I'm going to do. Then I do it. Then I move on to this.
Mm-hmm.
And I've never seen more of that than when we've had gear problems.
Sure.
Whenever we have gear problems, I'm like, all right, this isn't working. Boot the computer and fucking plug this in, turn this. I'm like doing 15 things at once. And you're like, okay, what's plugged into channel 1? Okay, now what's plugged into channel 2? Right. You're like very kaboom,
methodic.
Kaboom.
Yeah, methodical.
Yeah, but that's how you are in business and everything. I mean, I've dealt with you on some business dealings as well, and you're exactly the same way.
Mm-hmm.
What are we doing here? Then what are we doing here? Then what are we doing here? The project that me and you have like 1 second to finish, literally has been a methodical process.
It has. It's one step at a time, sure.
Right, because that's how you are, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just different people that do things different ways. That's all.
I agree.